And I think we are recording. So, hi, Jillian.
Hi, Corinne.
I'm here with Jillian Anderson, and she is a writer and Priestess Business Coach. And she just launched her evergreen program, Permission to Prosper, for the second time. And we're going to talk a little bit about that and how she was able to do it with a relatively small list and to really do well with it financially, while feeling really good about the process and attracting some amazing women into her program and just loving all of that. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your background and how you came to wanting to launch this course, this group program, and we'll go from there.
Awesome. Thank you. I have a background in the healing arts. So I studied with healers and teachers in healing for years before I took my work online. When I took my work online, I was teaching womb wisdom and I started teaching the Taoist Jade practice for women as a complement to that. As I went along, I started to feel this calling or this pull to help women with money and with their blocks to money, because as I moved along, I was having breakthrough after breakthrough with money, and I could just see in the spiritual community so many women struggling financially because they either wanted to be outside the system, had beliefs that money was bad, or, had beliefs that money would corrupt them, or that having money goals was not sacred or good or whatever. So I just saw these problems, not problems, but, somewhere where I could present a solution. And so the first incarnation of my program was my opt-in, which is still available. It's the Permission to Prosper, the Priestess Guide to Next Level Purpose, Pleasure, and Prosperity. And it takes a woman on a journey between, through the connections that are present between sacred sexuality and money magnetism, because I firmly believe our money reality is rooted in our sense of self-worth, and that has a lot to do with how we feel about our sexuality. So that was the first incarnation of the program. I launched that in November of 2016 by the total push of my acupuncturist, who was like, "You wrote this thing, put it out into the world." And I was like, "Who, me? Like, to write about this stuff? Like, I can't, So anyway, she finally was like, "Just put it out there." And I was like, "All right, I'm gonna put it out there." So I put that ebook out there, and between November and December, January, the first launch of the group program was in January, late January. So between November and January, I guess, Corinne, you and I were talking, I probably had about 200 women sign up for that ebook. And, I don't know if it was December or early January that I was like, this has to be a program. I started to see the engagement, like women really loved the material. The women who did read the ebook were like, "Wow, like I need more about this," or like, "This blew my mind," or, "Where can I learn more?" And I felt the push to do a program, and I knew previously that I would end up doing a group program because I wanted to leverage my time anyway, and most of my income was coming from one-on-one clients, and that is that takes a lot of energy to get one-on-one clients, and then to sustain one-on-one clients, and then to serve one-on-one clients. So I felt the push, I felt the inspiration. So I really felt it come down, and I was like, I have to do this group program. And we launched. And in January we did, we did 10K, and I enrolled 20, I think it was 22 women, 22 or 23 women. And that was amazing. And at the time, like I said, the list was 200, and then it grew to somewhere around 600-700, throughout the course of the launch. So, yeah.
And that was just over like 2 weeks or 2 or 3 weeks or something like that. Like it was a really short period of time that you were
Yes,
able to grow your list to that size, right?
yes, it was a short period of time. Yeah.
Yeah. So you decided to launch it again this May and to make it evergreen, right?
Yes.
So you're going to be turning it into a program that people can enroll in on a rolling basis after this live period.
Yes. Yes. I'm so excited for that.
Yeah. Cool. So you also have a little mini product or some, I guess, information product, right? Where that's something that you expose to people who are signing up for your Permission to Prosper ebook, right?
Yes. So when a woman enrolls, I guess to do the aerial view on it, when a woman enrolls in, signs up for the opt-in Permission to Prosper ebook, I have a series of, maybe it's 4 emails, and those emails help a woman get to know who I am, what I believe in, and they're also, serving the women with valuable information and inspiration. And then I think it's the 4th email that I offer the what's called New Paradigm Prosperity, and it's a $29 audio training and guidebook. And yes.
Yeah. So does this include, so the Permission to Prosper includes the jade egg, right?
Yes, it
Okay.
does.
Can you tell us a little bit about that? Because I'm curious about, I guess, the relationship between the jade egg and what you're doing in Permission to Prosper.
So what I discovered with working with clients was that if a woman was not in touch with her yoni or with her sexual energy, with what pleases her, if she wasn't in touch with her body in those lower chakras, the root and sacral chakra, she was having money stuff go on too. And it was either, fear, scarcity, lack, struggle, or not being, some of the women would also, they weren't inspired by their lives. Like they were kind of not turned on by their lives. And I started to see the connection between a woman who's, embodied in her womb and her yoni and her sacral chakra and her money-making potential. And that shows up in a lot of different ways. So, I'll just give you one of the ways. Like, for instance, women are taught to be desired, but they're not taught to desire. And so there's this thing about like owning what you want, so say a woman isn't able to own what she wants sexually, if she's not able to say, this is what I want and this is how I want it, she's basically putting her desires and her needs on someone else, usually the partner, who she kind of expects is just going to get it and give it to her, even though she doesn't want to say, like, this is what I want,
Yeah.
This is like a common thing that goes on with women. And what I found is that when a woman can own what she wants sexually and when she can own her desires, she is more likely to go out there and make the money that she wants to make, because she's like, hey, this is the amount of money I want to make and I'm going to go for it. I don't expect someone else to come in and handle this for me. I'm going to give it to myself,
Mm-hmm.
That's just one of the connections, and there are many, and we could talk about that forever probably. But does that answer your question?
Yeah, totally. And this is something that you include in your one-on-one client work, right?
Yeah, so in my high-end package, Embodiment for Abundance, women do receive both an obsidian yoni egg and a jade, traditional certified nephrite jade egg. And those are 2 tools that I give to my clients, yeah.
Can I ask what the difference is between those two?
Yeah, so obsidian is a different stone first, and it's really what I help women with the obsidian is clearing old emotional baggage, clearing old traumas, clearing old relationships, clearing old stuff, because we hold so much stuff that we don't realize that we're holding in our energy body, but just also, you know, we just hold on to so much stuff in our psyche too. So the obsidian helps to clear away. It's a more intense stone. And another difference I could tell you is that the jade egg is more for cultivation. So cultivating your sexual energy. It's heavier, so it actually strengthens the pelvic floor and the muscles of the pelvic floor more powerfully. The obsidian is so light, it's not for strengthening, it's just for clearing. So, yeah.
Okay. So you probably use the obsidian first.
Yes. Yes, we clear and then we cultivate.
Yeah. Awesome. I wasn't really that clear on the details of all of that, but that sounds really cool.
Yeah, it's powerful work to clear all the old stuff first, and then go in, focus on like, all right, what do you really want? And let's, magnetize that. Let's get you in alignment with that. So, yeah.
I think that really makes you very unique because it's a very unique thing that you can bring to your programs. And I feel like other people can really feel more comfortable tapping into what makes them unique to bring that into their own programs as well. Because there are a lot of programs that offer clearing and things like that. As far as when it comes to money, there's like decluttering and, Marie Kondo your space and whatnot. And I feel like what you're doing is definitely a unique thing that I'm really interested in it. So I can see why other women would be.
Yeah, and you hit on a point that is one of the points that I consistently make in my marketing and my promotion, is that money blocks are not just mindset stuff. It's not just the mind, it's also your body. Like, who are you being in your body? How embodied are you? How comfortable are you in your skin? Charisma and confidence come from that sacral chakra place of like, this is who I am and this is how I express myself. And so there's so many layers to this. When a woman goes into those areas and does this work, she can better, be herself in the world. And that's what really attracts your ideal clients and attracts money to you, is when you're like, hey, this is who I am. Hey, like, here I am. So
totally. Awesome. So you had been doing, you had been trained as a yoga teacher and massage therapist. And how long were you doing like taking on in-person clients before you decided to transition into online work?
So let's see, this is great. I graduated school for massage in 2010. So between 2010 and 2014, I was growing my in-person practice. And there was a couple of moves that I made in between there. So I had to kind of reestablish myself at one point. But that was a period of learning too, like also adding additional healing skills. And then at one point in the height of my in-person massage practice, was booked 2 to 3 months in advance for clients. So I hit an income ceiling with that relatively quickly. I loved the work. I loved seeing my clients. I loved being booked, and I loved the money too. I was like, wow, this is great. The more clients I take, the more money comes in. But I burnt out, I hurt my shoulder and my neck, and, it's just like it all locked up. And that was the time where I realized, like, I hit an income ceiling. I'm also taking way too many clients. I was seeing between 35 to 40 clients between Wednesday and Sunday. I was like, they were all packed in. Yeah. Cause I like to have 2 days off, or was it 3 days off? I was going back and forth, but I like put everybody in a close time frame where sometimes I was seeing 10 or 12 clients in one day for physical work, which is just insane. So I hit that income ceiling, and my son was born at a certain point, and my son was born in 2014, and I cut back my hours drastically, and so my income was cut back tremendously, and I was kind of leaning on my partner, and that sucked because I was used to a certain amount of money, and now, but I knew I wanted to be with my son. And so I wouldn't compromise. Like I wouldn't flex. He was the priority. And I knew that from the start. Like I won't pass up this time with him for anything else. So I was like, well, there's a way, I'm going to figure something out here. So I took my work online, and there was also in his birth, there was also like a calling for me to serve more people on a different level. Like I felt like also a desire to express myself online. Mm-hmm. And so what I did was I started the blog in 2014 when he was about 6 months old. Yeah, it was 2014. He was 6 months old. I started the blog, poured my heart into that, thought that, I don't know, magically that it would turn into, well, it did, but I thought, it was Marie Forleo who said, your blog is not your business. And I was like, oh, like face palm, I've been pouring all my energy into something that doesn't make money, like wondering how it was going to work, so started the blog and started attracting readers, and would get those emails from someone in like Germany or someone in Australia who was like, wow, I read your blog. And I thought, wow, I'm reaching people from all over the place, even if it was just one email here and there, and then it turned into, what I'm doing today. So I explored different things, different ways to monetize. And one-on-one work was how I was primarily, when I moved into that, was how I was primarily making money until the group program. So
yeah. Cool. So you had really just been doing one-on-one work. And then it was, who was it that urged you to put this ebook out?
My acupuncturist. Well, I told her I wrote it, and she said, well, if you wrote this, like you have to share it. You can't keep it to yourself. And I was like, all right, reluctantly.
Do you know if she's done anything like that, like put out materials? Because I'm noticing more and more, a lot of people who are doing like one-to-one physical work, like meditation teachers and yoga teachers, they're starting to put more of their work online and leveraging their time as well. So I'm just curious if she was doing that.
Well, she is not at this moment, but I plant seeds with her because I can see how many clients she takes, and I have compassion for the amount of clients she has, the amount of time she spends in the office, and the amount, like how tired she must be at the end of the day. And I feel like it's some kind of, it's a shift in consciousness to go from like the tired, burnt out healer to stepping back and letting money kind of work for you in a smarter, more sustainable way, so that the healers can also do their own self-care and take care of themselves and have the time freedom, the location freedom, and some of these things that you just can't do when you're constantly taking 30, 35 clients a week in one-on-one services,
Yeah.
So I plant seeds with her, and then she actually, she writes children's books. So she does have her creativity, and she finishes these books and gets them self-published. And
oh, cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so she is doing it in a different capacity, but for sure she's doing that.
Yes.
Yeah, that's cool. And I feel like when you can leverage your time and have that time for yourself and self-care, you can show up more powerfully for the people that you are serving, and you can serve more people. Because I know that that's kind of like, well, if I'm not taking on 30 clients, then I'm not able to reach as many people. But you really can show up more powerfully for the people that you are able to serve. So
yeah.
I think that when I was, moving my practice online, I had this fear of, am I going to be able to create something that's more passive? Because I had always heard that it's kind of hard to do, and that you need to have like 1 billion people on your list or in your community to be able to do that. So that you should really focus on, high price packages and fill yourself up with those. And then you can create something in the background. Do you want to talk about like the myth of that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, clearly it's a myth, because I just came out of the box with these 200 people after my acupuncturist was like, put this ebook out there. Now to give context, I had been building myself up online for 3 years and had a previous ebook that I was, had out. And so the Permission to Prosper was my second ebook. And but as far as, I didn't use any fancy, we did an ad during the launch. I didn't use ads, over the course of those 3 years, or even right away when I launched the ebook. But it is a myth, because if you are connecting with the women who are engaged with your work, if there is that, open relationship, and, there's the hunger for what you're offering, you can do a 5-figure launch with a small list. So the first launch, I'll just, recap. The first launch in January was, I started with the 200 women on my list and launched, and we did 10K and enrolled, we'll say 22 students. I'm not sure if it's 22 or 23. And then the next launch, the one we just had in May, my list was, let's just say 750, and 750 people drop off. It was 750, it was closer to 800 at one point, and then people drop off during the launch. So I did over 12K with that one and enrolled, I don't know if it was 25 or 26 women. We did 12K. So yeah, clearly if you can have a small launch and you can launch your group program and get these kind of results, and there are different things that I think need to be in place. You obviously need to be talking to the right women, and speaking from your heart, and compelling. The offer's got to be compelling. It's got to be clear. You have to take someone from point A to point B. So the actual offering in the program has to be well thought out. And I will just add that the first time I launched the program, I didn't have the program written at all. It was not created yet, which caused me some anxiety in the launch, because I was like, all right, now everybody's signed up. Now I'm going to deliver this. And it was a live program, so that was okay. I knew I would show up every week with the trainings. I had an outline, and that was it. I knew session 1 was going to be this, all the way through session 6. I knew the titles, but I didn't actually have the full content written. So I essentially sold something and then created it after I sold it, which I learned that from Jeff Walker. He calls it a seed launch. And I just learned it just from reading his free book launch. So so it is a myth. It is a myth. You don't need a huge list. And obviously your list, the more your list grows, the more potential there is. But I think it's really about engagement. And I think it's really about really, really connecting with those clients who are, like they would say, soulmate clients, like people who you can uniquely help. And and really creating something that feels aligned for you. Like I talk about soul aligned offers. And so when you're creating something that's soul aligned for you and that your clients want and what they're having, like what you said when we spoke before, what they're coming to, the problems that they're coming to you with, and what you might be helping them with now, when you merge those two, you can really create something successful. Yes, and that is how Permission to Prosper came to be. Was I saw all these common threads with the clients who were coming to me one-on-one. I saw the common threads, why are they coming to me? What do they need help with? I started to notice how money was tied into the sexuality work, and I started to see all these things. And then I looked at, hey, what are my favorite things to teach? What excites me? What are my favorite topics? And like I said, like you said, I put those two next to each other, and the group program came from came from that. So
yeah. So how about, were there any fears other than, are people going to sign up, or am I going to be able to create what they want, or anything like that?
yeah, let me go through the list of fears. So first was, what if I do all of this work and I'm expanding, and I was expanding at the time. What if I do all this work for this and no one signs up? What if all these people sign up, but then I don't deliver good enough? Like, what if it sucks and they want a refund and then I have to deal with that? What if, what if someone comes along and is like, hey, what do you think you're doing? You can't do this. Which just sounds weird because nobody could really come along and say anything like that. That's like an inner dialogue that has to be like pushed aside.
Yeah.
I think those were my main fears, that nobody was going to sign up, that I would look stupid. Obviously, that's like a big fear, that you're afraid of like humiliation. Like you're launching, your whole list is hearing about it, and then one person signs up, and then, oh, there's just one person in the program. Like, what was all this hype for? Nobody else signed up. It's just me. I was afraid of that. I was afraid that like just one or two people would sign up and that I would look like less of a leader, or like less, I don't know, like I just would look, it wouldn't have worked, right? So actually Jeff Walker talks about that. He says you can discreetly invite people in. If you only get a few people to sign up, don't panic and don't fear. Good for you for going for it. Now discreetly invite 5 people in, 10 people in, whatever you want to do to make it have more, have more connections, have more students. Yeah. So I had a backup plan for that. I definitely did. I even invited my one friend in at one moment, because when you're going through the first launch, they say nobody signs up until the end anyway. So you're here and the cart's open and you're getting like a few signups, but not what you envisioned. And then at one point I was like, oh my gosh, I need to invite my friend, into the program. And I did. And that, like, I don't know, it was moral support.
Yeah. Yeah, that's totally fine.
Yeah. And then at the end, everybody pours in, everybody rolls in. And the second launch, now that I was prepared for that, I was like, okay, I understand. Everybody waits until the last minute to make a decision here. And so I'm just going to hang out and wait until then, and everything will be, fine. We'll see what the results are then,
Yeah.
So
that's helpful to know, because people can get so discouraged in, like, if you have a launch for like 3 weeks, the first 2 weeks are like nail biting. Like, oh my God, is this going to work? So,
yes.
So all of those fears, did any of them come true?
No refunds. No. And my refund policy is that a woman has to go through the whole program and do all of the work. And if she wants a refund, she is entitled to it, but she has to turn in all the work. Mm-hmm. And that is just my policy at this moment in time. I wanted women to feel like safe in investing in my program. So I wanted them to know, like, hey, if this doesn't live up to your expectations, I do have this policy in place. And I haven't had any refunds. I had all of these women join, so I didn't have to worry about inviting all these people in. Nobody came along and said, like, who are you to teach about this? Which is good, because, that's just an inner dialogue. And yeah, so none of that stuff came true. So,
cool.
Yeah.
So one last question. What is your next step, just in general, with your business?
So Permission to Prosper, the group program, we just went through the second launch, and now after this, these students have been fulfilled. Like, the 6-week program goes through its course. Permission to Prosper will be evergreen, which it's set up for that now. So most of the work is done, and just once we get through fulfilling these students, I can just have women enroll at any time. I'll probably set up some kind of funnel for that, so that it has its own separate funnel, so that it can be sustained, or new clients can come in through ads, and then it can operate on its own. After this, I'm working on a book proposal right now. So I feel really excited. Just 2 days ago, I was sitting here and I was working on the book proposal and thinking, like, this is what I intended the whole time. I intended to have some source of income that was really, that I could put into kind of an automatic place, so that I could sit and write. Because when you're writing a book proposal, you're not getting paid to write your book until you get the deal. And even as a first-time author, you don't know what your deal is going to look like. You don't know if it's going to be $5,000, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000. You really don't know. It could be more than that, and it could be on the lower side. So I wanted to have some kind of income coming in that also, that was more automatic, that could help me to do my writing. And that's what I'm moving into, is doing the writing and looking for an agent and finishing the book proposal and shopping the book. And that's really exciting.
Cool.
Yeah.
And then once you do that, that's on autopilot too. So
that's on autopilot. That is a passive source of income. And I've heard people say, like, your book is more like a business card, like you won't make much on royalties. I've heard things like that, but my perspective is that still it's out there helping people, and it's generating community, and you are receiving royalties. And obviously once they make back the advance, but it's out there and it's doing work for you. So yeah, it is passive income. Yeah.
You can create programs from the book as well, workshops, courses, from what you're writing in the book. You can lay out a system according to what's said in the book. I know Denise Duffel Thomas did that with her Lucky Bitch, Get Rich Lucky Bitch book. So
the book was first and then the course came?
Yeah. So the course is basically more in-depth program according to what was written in the book. So, and that's a multi-million-dollar course. So
that's amazing.
Yeah. So you've got big things coming for you, and I know you'll do it, because you're so awesome at all of this, and I feel like your message is going to resonate with so many different women. So yeah.
Thanks, Corinne. That's so awesome to hear. I'm just receiving that. And it's just, when you show up every day and you ask, what can I do today to be creative and have a good time and to serve, messages fall through. You get ideas, and it's important to receive the ideas and then just act upon them, So it's the acting that's hard. It's the receiving the ideas happens naturally, but it's saying, like, I'm going to act upon this, even though I might fail, and, moving through that. So, yeah.
Cool. So how can people find you online?
So I'm at www.jillian-anderson.com. And that's where you can find, I think that you can find my free ebook. There's a free section in I'm blanking out on the name of it. It's like the menu. The menu bar has a free button, and you can click it, and that's where you can find my free ebook. So www.jillian-anderson.com. And I love Instagram. I think Instagram has been such a great place for me to connect with people and connect with women. And that's my favorite social media place. So.
Yeah. Instagram's awesome for that. Definitely. Okay, cool. Thanks so much for joining me today and chatting about all the things evergreen and addressing all the fears and talking about the reality of what goes on and how, awesome this has turned out for you. So I appreciate that. And I think we're gonna, oh my gosh, my computer, of course, is messing up. So we'll go ahead and say goodbye, but thank you for being here, and we'll talk soon.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me, Corinne.
No problem. Bye.